You want to cook a brisket, but you're nervous, a little bit scared, don't really want to trim it, not quite sure how to do it. Like, comment, save, share this video because you're going to want to come back to it. This is a full trim. I'm not claiming this is perfect, but it's the way I do it and it works for me. I always trim a partially frozen brisket because as you can see, it cuts much easier. To start out, you notice that I trimmed the sides, I gave it a nice flow. You always want the smoke to flow. You don't want any jagged edges that are going to get caught up and end up burning. So what I'm playing with now is the decal, and as you can see, it is what separates the point from the flat. I don't dig into it too much. I simply trim it off. I still want that smoke to flow. There might be a little bit of hard fat in there, but I could always get that off after the cook. And if I'm making something like brisket burn ends out of the point, I'm going to separate and get rid of that part anyway. We flip that brisket over, and this part is really simple. Just take your time. Again, with this half frozen brisket, you can see how easy these hard pieces of fat just slip right off. A sharp knife helps too. Now, you'll notice I remove almost all the fat from the point. There is so much fat throughout the point of the brisket that you really don't need to keep it like you're seeing it right now. I'm going to continue to trim this until you can start to see some of that beautiful meat because I want to season that. I want to make sure that I'm going to impart as much flavor as I possibly can. The point is by far the best part of a whole packer brisket. Packer brisket, what's that? Glad you asked. A packer brisket is actually the point and the flat together, separated by that band of fat called the decal. Now, for your own knowledge, I would recommend just buying a whole packer. You could pick one like this up for 60 bucks, and if you get the flat, it's going to be half the weight, and it's going to cost the same amount of money. It makes no sense whatsoever. So from a cost perspective and the amount of meat that you're going to yield, a whole packer is the way to go. So once we get to the flat, we're going to trim that down to about 1/4 inch. We want to protect the flat. The flat can dry out very easily if you're not careful. And considering I cook my brisket fat cap down, it's completely preference. I've done both, and I really don't notice a difference. That 1/4 inch of fat just gives you that extra layer of protection to make sure you end up with a perfect, juicy, moist flat. I hope this helped, and last tip, make sure you have a bowl left over so that you can save all these beautiful trimmings. They can add a great amount of flavor to some burgers.